Hey guys, Luke here, and welcome back to another video where today I have a very special announcement to give you guys. So if you don't know this by now, I have one novel officially published and out there for you guys to get. It's called The Pale Clock Paradox. I even have my own copy over here in my bedroom that you can get your own copy right now. I would advise not buying a copy right now because I'm trying to fix the printing issues with this, as this is supposed to be like a smaller size, and there are some printing issues in all of the copies. You can see the page numbers are put in the wrong places when they're supposed to be at the bottom, but I'm fixing that issue right now. And what I wanted to tell you guys is it's going to be a little bit of a extra special video because I want to get uploading again and get you guys just want uploads. So today, even though this is Luke Does Minecraft as a gaming channel, today I'm going to be reading out chapter 1 of the newly edited and extended Pale Clock Paradox, which will be coming soon. So today I'll be giving you my very own reading of the first chapter of the Pale Clock Paradox, dedicated to everyone who has put their name down to be in this book. And thank you to everyone who has put their name down to be in this. This has been a really fun project to work on. I really love this, and I am so excited to do more stuff like this in the future. Anyways, Chapter 1, You're It. Oliver always woke before the alarm went off. Not because he meant to. He never meant to. It was just the way his body worked. Like it had an internal clock that refused to sleep past a certain point, even on the weekends. The digital numbers on his bedside clock glowed a dim green, 9:44 a.m. He stared at them for a brief moment, waiting for that familiar wave of dread that usually came with mornings. School days had it worst: tight chest, clenched jaw, the quiet mental checklist of everything he might mess up before lunchtime comes. But today wasn't a school day. Today sat outside the week like a loose thread. Saturday. That helped. Oliver rolled onto his side and reached blindly for the stowaway on his bedside table. He found it by feel, fingers brushing the cold plastic, the slightly cracked lid, the tape already inside from the night before. He slipped his earbuds in before he even sat up, pressing play. A faint hiss, then bright synths boomed into his ears, a cheerful and artificial and loud enough to drown out thought. Wake up to the radio sound, it's my favorite song. He exhaled. The music in Oliver's ears didn't match the sky, but it didn't have to. That was kind of the point. He sat up slowly, feet dangling over the edge of the bed, letting the song fully take hold of him before the day could. His room was small and messy in the way only a teenage boy's room could be. Posters peeling at the corners, stacks of old magazines on the floor, game manuals folded and refolded until the spine split in half. A pile of laundry slumped against the wall like it had given up hope of ever being worn again. The curtains were half open. Outside, Brown's Bay was wrapped in a dull, stubborn grey. The clouds looked like concrete poured too thick, smeared across the sky without care. Winter had that effect on the place. Everything muted, everything caught in a middle ground. Not cold enough for drama, not warm enough for comfort. Oliver stood, stretched, and shuffled his way towards the door, careful not to let the floorboards creak too loudly. The house was quiet in that fragile, suspended way it got in the early mornings. Mom was still asleep. Her door was closed, the light under it dark. Dad was already gone, early shift at work again. The kitchen clock would comfort it if Oliver bothered to look, but he already knew. Dad always left before the sun bothered showing up. He brushed his teeth with one hand, the other tapping out the rhythm of the song on the sink. He rinsed, spilled on some pulled on some jeans and a dark hoodie, checked his pockets for coins. Tokens weren't that cheap anymore, and grabbed an apple from the fruit bowl on his way out. By the time he stepped onto the street, the song was looped back round. Sunny days, moods are raised, showering the world with praise. How fitting. Browns Bay in the morning felt like a place holding its breath. Shops were shuttered. Cars passed by occasionally, tires whisked against the damp asphalt. The smell of salt crept in from the seaside, mixing with the petrol in the air and wet leaves. Oliver walked with his head down, hood up, not from the cold, not really. It just helped him disappear into the song. The bass line pulled him forward, carried him past places he knew by heart. The dairy on the corner, its windows fogged, handwritten signs taped lazily to the glass. The bus stop where kids would gather on weekdays, loud and restless, now empty except for a crushed fizz can rolling in the wind. The park with its rusted swings, chains squeaked faintly even when no one was on them. He crossed the road without looking, trusting the quiet. The music made everything feel distant to him, like he was moving through a version of Browns Bay that existed slightly out of phase with the real one. By the time he turned the corner, the game house finally came into view. It sat wedged between two buildings that had clearly given up. One a closed clothing store with mannequins frozen in last decade's fashion. The other a travel agency advertising deals to places Oliver's doubted anyone actually visited anymore. The arcade itself had no real name. The sign above the entrance was faded beyond recognition, its letters long since peeled away. A few dead bulbs clung stubbornly to the frame, unlit and forgotten. Everyone just called it the game house, so they ran with it. Blake was already there, sitting on the concrete steps like he owned the place, kicking a loose fizz can into the gutter and watching it bounce. Took you long enough. Oliver pulled his earbuds out and curled them in his pocket. The music leaked faintly into the air, tinny and cheerful. I got distracted. Blake smirked. Sunny days again. You're gonna burn that tape out. Worth it. Blake laughed and stood, slinging an arm around Oliver's shoulders as they pushed through the doors as a unit. The game house greeted them with noise. Not all at once, never all at once, but layered, overlapping, and constant. Beeps and chimes, distorted music loops, the low mechanical hum of cabinets drawing power like living things. The carpet was a visual assault. Neon swirls and jagged shapes designed to hide stains and failures. The air smelled like old electricity and sugar. Time bent here. It always did. Barrel bouncer blinked red and blue in the corner, its joysticks worn smooth. Astrofighter dimmed softly, starfields and spaceships drifting lazily across its screen. Megamash 2 Turbo screamed at everyone who passed too close, demanding their attention. Cobra Kart's Venom Drift rattled violently as someone took a turn too sharply. Pixel ninjas flickered like old Christmas lights on the brink of destruction. They played a few rounds, killing time the way they always did. Blake bragged, Oliver lost. Blake bragged more. A staff member, Paul, or maybe Phil, ambled past with a toolbox, muttering to himself about wiring issues and kids who didn't respect machines. That new game still coming today? Blake asked him. Paul scratched his beard. Hold your horses. Soon as I get this bloody thing calibrated, cabinets being fussy. Oliver felt something tighten in his chest at that, a low, anticipatory hum. They rounded the corner together as Paul unveiled the gamehouse's next big hit. Chrono Clash stood there like it had always been there, and like it absolutely hadn't. The cabinet blazed orange, like fire trapped behind moist glass. The screen pulsed faintly, like it was breathing. No instructions, no attract mode, just the title, hovering in bold letters that seemed to shimmer if you stared at it for too long. Harry was already there, squinting at the screen, his glasses slipping down the bridge of his nose. Abigail sat behind on a cracked stool, chewing gum with the kind of exaggerated effort that suggested boredom mixed with some interest. "This is it," Harry said without turning. "They say no one's beaten it yet." "They say that about everything," Abigail replied. "No," came a quiet voice behind them. Noah had just arrived. He always did that, appearing without announcement, like he'd been there the whole time. He stood a little apart from the group, hands in his pockets, eyes fixed on the cabinet. "This one's real," Noah said. "My cousin reckons it only dropped in 3 arcades across the North Shore." Blake snorted. "Yeah? Well, did your cousin say how to beat it?" Noah didn't answer. He just stared. One by one, they began to feed the machine their tokens. Blake went first, cocky as ever, and was crushed within 60 seconds by shifting gears. Harry lasted longer, navigating level 2's timed bears before being flattened by a falling scale. Abigail reached level 3, dodging storms of flying paper until one finally swept her away. Groans, cheers, trash talk. Then Noah stepped forward. He didn't ask. He didn't hesitate. He just slid a token in like this was something he'd done many times before. Like he'd been waiting for this very moment. The arcade seemed to die around him. Level 1, clean. Level 2, precise. Level 3, boss, gone. Level 4, blink and you miss it. Noah didn't move like someone playing a game. He moved like someone remembering something distant yet near at the same time. When he reached the chrono anomaly, the final level, no one spoke. Even the other machines seemed dimmer, the noise fading into the background as Noah took center stage. Suddenly, the screen erupted in gold. "You win!" For a few straight seconds there was silence. Then Oliver broke the ice. No way. The gamehouse exploded at once. They screamed, they jumped, and Noah spun around, and Blake grabbed Noah and spun him round by his tee. Abigail kicked over the broken stool like some wrestling superstar. Harry was already launching into a theory about probability and design flaws. They left the arcade victorious, gods of a dying mall, cutting through its echoing corridors toward the food court. Fries, pretzel dogs, 1 milkshake, 5 straws. "Okay," Blake said, leaning forward, eyes gleaming. "We need to do something epic now. After a high like that, we need to write it on." Abigail groaned. "Please don't say it. Let's play tag." They groaned, then agreed. It was too dumb of an idea not to. Blake was it. "You are all dead!" They scattered. Abigail ducked into Big Saver, vanishing between aisles of discounted clothes. Harry slipped into the abandoned photo booth near the bathrooms, its curtains still hanging by a thread. Noah headed towards the old bookstore, closed, dark, its windows papered over with yellow posters. Oliver ran. He found an abandoned ice cream kiosk and slipped under the counter. Perfect choice. No one would think to check here. He slowed his breathing and tuned into the surrounding chaos. He heard hastened footsteps, Blake yelling in victory and Noah accepting defeat. The bad part was Noah knew where he went, and by the sounds of it, he was heading here post-haste. He peeked above the counter and met Noah's gaze. Without a moment to pause, he darted. Take a right, take a right, take a left. He couldn't shake him off. He would catch up to him eventually. Oliver turned a corner. An elevator was there, open just a crack. Footsteps closing in. He didn't think. He leapt inside and crashed through the bright caution out of order tape. Like some slow-mo scene in an action picture. He mashed every button on the console. Take me anywhere. Anywhere but here. The doors slammed shut just in time. Silence. At first there was a feeling of relief, of safety. The mood changed in an instant. The air wasn't right. No soft jingles were playing. The lights flickered on. Why did he get in if someone clearly didn't want him to? What if the elevator's broken? What if it drops him to his death? The walls shifted slowly. Glass, endless. A void bloomed beyond, speckled with starlight. Reflections multiplied. The thing is, they aren't reflections if they don't reflect you. Some screaming, some laughing, some bleeding, some crying. Hands pressed against the glass. Oliver screamed. The sound folded in on itself. Clocks warped, metal bent, voices layered like static. Then, silence. Then, ding! That's it of chapter 1 for the Pale Clock Paradox, everyone. Hope you liked me reading this chapter, because I really loved writing this. And anyways, I will see you in later uploads. Goodbye.